Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, the ruling APC has held a NEC meeting, and quite a number of things came out of it, because it was in the nature of a think tank sort of a thing. It was sort of an ideas storming event, but perhaps most importantly, the party did, give a vote of confidence to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Talking about his policies and generally wishing him well. The President, was pleased to accept it, but he said that this really means an admonition. He sees it to work even harder, which he is prepared to do. Okay, we'll talk about that this morning. The import of all of this, and our guest is Dr. Ni Akinshiju. Dr. Akinshiju is the Chairman, Independent Media and Policy Initiative. A fine morning to you, Dr. Akinshiju.
Very good morning to you, Mr. Falarin.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure hearing again from you.
Indeed, indeed. So, the first thing well, I think let's go one step before the other. We have a report of the event that we're going to be having a conversation on, and let's start with that to sort of give the lie of the ground.
It's the first National Executive Committee meeting convened under the leadership of National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje. Although some members of the party have faulted it for not having a NEC meeting as it should, but the President says its priority is ensuring stability of the economy. President Bola Tinubu also promised not to let the party down.
You can work with Wiki and let me know where you need my attention. The National Working Committee is doing a very good job, and I'm just happy with them. And I feel that you should be happy with them too. Yes, a little conflict in various states. Let's set up any committee of our size to look into lingering problems in some states.
The national chairman outlined the activities from the time he took office, expressing concern over inheriting 8 billion naira in legal liabilities.
To mention here that in order to ensure proper inclusive coordination between the party and stakeholders at the state and zonal levels, we initiated zonal coordinators among governors in respect of each of the geopolitical zones. This is to ensure a close working relationship with the party national vice chairman and other zonal officers on important matters that have to do with the party.
The duo of Senate President Godswill Akpabio and Chairman Progressive Governors Forum Hope Uzodinma tasked party members to do more, especially with the delivery of good governance in their various states.
The Senate is assuring the NEC today that we are shoulder to shoulder with you. We will support you to ensure that we have good governance. Above all, we don't want a one-party system. We must plead with some of the opposition people, particularly the fractured PDP. They have different factions now, that they should try and continue in the opposition so that they can urge us to do better.
The beginning of all the various reform policies of Mr. President. Cost of living is high, yes. Food is expensive, yes. Hunger is in town, yes. But we need a permanent solution.
The meeting was attended by former and present state governors, zonal members, and state chairmen. The NEC also moved for the expansion of the National Working Committee and the National Executive Committee of the party, which is expected to be ratified at a non-elective convention. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay then, thank you very much to Habida Lawal. And Dr. Akinshiju, first of all, What do you make of the meeting? Because we heard those important high-ranking party members speak. All of it was very positive. And even though there was, the reporter added in there that there were a few voices of dissent in terms of, processes not having been followed. But it seems to be a very, for the president, I mean, it seemed that they were pouring encomiums on him and his administration and their efforts at sorting our problem out. But what do you make of that particular meeting?
Yeah, thank you so much. The meeting, as all meetings are, would serve as a feedback channel, for the president at this time. Yes, the reporter noted that it's the first time in 2 years, that the National Executive Committee meeting will hold. I think the president also gave an explanation for that, because the president came in at a time of, instability in the economy, huge concerns around security, and a number of other fiscal headaches, as it were. Now, I think to the mind of the president, the important thing was to stabilize the economy, have control, and have a good grasp of the security issues and all that, and of course, then start attending to political matters. And of course, we all know how Nigerians think. If we are in the middle of a huge trouble, and you have a gathering of politicians, the social media would definitely be agog, and, with all manners of opinions and thoughts. That while we are contending with all these issues, these people are gathering, and we don't know the kind of adjectives that will be used, to qualify such gathering. Well, I think the president was right by noting that he had to first stabilize the economy, which was of utmost concern for all Nigerians. And to a large extent, I think most Nigerians are seeing, the first green shoots of the policies of the government in addressing, of course, reforming the economy, as it were. So the meeting served as a feedback channel for the president, and of course, even for the National Working Committee, that are the active arm of the party, the arm that manages the party, in the absence of the National Executive Committee. So the governors gave their opinion of what's happening around the economy, happenings around the countries. And of course, you also have members of the National Assembly who also give their opinions. And the president himself, you also, in that report, the president congratulated and expressed how happy he was with the National Working Committee.
Yes.
So for all the arms, for all the branches and the segments of the party, it was time to check, revert, and of course backpart where possible. And we saw that a lot of backparting, was recorded.
Indeed.
To a large extent, I think there's a lot of justification for that going forward.
Yeah. And it seems that coming from what you said, people like those in the ruling party, the president and all of that, they need to be very mindful of what the focus is. Because as you've just said, everybody and their aunt feels free to comment on what's going on in terms of governance and all of that. Especially depending on where it's coming from, not all of it will be complimentary or supportive, but those who are running the policy know. Opposition might not want to come out and say it. I saw a headline somewhere that the prices of food is coming down. There are actual, small steps in terms of progress that we are noticing that can only, cascade into a flood, given President Tinubu's determination and focus. And it seems, where does this energy come from? It seems limitless energy. And the man was still promising to work even harder at the job that he has been given.
Seriously, the president is a rare being in terms of focus, in terms of ideas, in terms of capacity to apply himself, you know. And of course, the president is a hands-on supervisor. He superintends, you know, closely, micromanages, as it were. So it combines a lot of qualities, you know, and I think that's the kind of person we need at this point in time in the life of the country. He has to work hard because he has a vision of what Nigeria should be, and that is why he conceptualized policies that his predecessors all this while had avoided, you know, because these policies were actually meant to change the paradigm, the economic paradigm, but in changing, it would of course impact the standard and the lifestyle of Nigerians. So, but it takes a person of courage, you know, to go ahead and do that, you know, and of course, it also takes someone that determines not to be too political. Because if he had been political, his consideration would be how would the people, how would they review him? How would they rate him? You know, and of course, you know, when you start a tenure within 3 years, you are ready for another election. And if you have not delivered in those 3 years, it becomes an issue, you know, trying to pacify the electorate, as it were. But he took that risk, which is a huge risk. Many politicians don't take that kind of risk, you know. Well, I think he took that risk believing in himself and understanding his own capacity to deliver. And if we are talking of a vote of confidence on him, it was principally pivoted on how far the economy had performed under him. And we don't, of course, we cannot argue that. The data are showing, you know, positively that the economy is growing, getting stronger. We noted the food price falling. Food price is falling. That has been falling for the past 1 month or so. And everybody is giving testimony and witnesses to it, including the media too. So, but what I also want to, of course, from your review of that position in terms of allowing people to talk, I think this is one of the rarity, you know, of a reformer. Most reformers are convenient with just their echo chamber scenario, where they are the only one, you know, that talks, and whoever talks just amplify what they have said. I note, you know, with interest that perhaps the most referenced economic power or a reforming zeal that led to economic power had been in Singapore. And when Nigerians usually at any fora stand up to talk about an economy that went under reforms and all that, the first reference is Singapore. The next recently had been Rwanda. And I try to tell people, do you know what it takes for that, for the Singapore experiment to be delivered? More than, years of absolute authority. The manager, the author of the reforms in Singapore did not allow for plural thoughts. There was no pluralism in the politics of Singapore. So, to a large extent, when you now compare that to what we're experiencing in Nigeria, you have a president that is encouraging people, of course, to also vent their other side, vent the other opinions, so that we can, of course, meet at the marketplace of thoughts. And I think Governor Uzodinma was clear on that during the meeting, noting that the opposition should be made to resurrect themselves. They should come and be more active in the space, which is important, because when you have a democracy with an opposition that had more or less gone to bed, it's as if you have a near one-party state. So we just hear once in a while how the opposition would protest that the president is turning the country into a one-party state, and I wonder what is expected to be the role of this same opposition. Stand up, make your points known, analyze issues, and do not just be pedestrian about it. Contextualize properly, conceive your thought properly and deliver properly in the public space, so that people will appreciate your point of thought too. So it's important we have that opposition, as it were. Unfortunately, PDP, like Governor Zolman noted, had become fractious, more or less. We want them together. I believe it is for the good of democracy if we have PDP and all the Social Democratic Party and other parties talking. That's democracy. Engaging policies marshaled or deployed by the administration, so that we can have the broad benefit of different dimensions of policy conceptualization and implementation.
Indeed. The fact that first of all, the president does have a reputation for being a Democrat, and it's sort of well known. Apart from that, I just said that in relation to the kind of things that the administration lets slip. I'm sure they're seeing everything, but they know they can't respond to everything. The most important thing must be there is a plan, and we need to be focused on the plan. Tinubu arrived on the job prepared, knowledgeable. You recall, Dr. Kishiju, that for a long time we had this, I don't even know that it has been suspended, talking about his birthday colloquium, where he used to, share ideas of his vision for Nigeria. So I imagine they must, he must have rallied a lot of people around this vision of his and how to now execute it. And we're hearing from, reports that a difference is really being made. So Tinubu arrived prepared for business. What you usually hear is that it's not going to be business as usual. But Tinubu arrived, I would wager, prepared for business, and this is the result that we're seeing now. The price of food is coming down, the economy is improving, the agriculture, solid minerals, thinking. The man has been on the road, so to speak, all for the benefit of the country. He has his work cut out for him, but he's even saying that, do not pity me, I beg you. I signed up for this job. I will do whatever it takes. And God giving the man strength, he continues to do so.
And I think we should continue to commend him and, of course, push him hard too. Like you said, he came prepared. If you also track, of course, his political trajectory and his association across the divide, you would observe that he's not just the typical Nigerian politician. One, you have a professional, a highly certified professional. As at the time he joined politics, he was an active, professional, and perhaps at the highest level of his profession, being treasurer of that multinational mobile producing. So if you have that kind of person joining politics, it's one of those things that we continue to advocate in Nigeria, to have quality-minded professionals come into the political space, And then in joining politics, from day one, its tendency had always been through the social democrat branch of democracy. And of course, there's always a difference between the social democrat, the conservative, Republicans, and all that. By the nature of social democracy, there is a philosophy, that is about the people, pro-people. There's a tendency, for the people. And then as it grows, even before he became governor, in the 1993-99 bracket, he was more or less an activist. He was active in ADECO. He was a major supporter of Campaign for Democracy. He was associated to CDHR. So all the NGOs and the civil society organizations were more or less aligned to him. So you understand that space too. And perhaps this is the first time we have a president that had a strong, substantial relationship with that segment of the democratic space, So it's also helped in moderating and, of course, focusing his democratic thoughts. And then It's association with professionals too. It's on record, you know. Different lectures, debates, you know, that had been engaged in. And of course, we also know that for every subject, this is not formally in the public space, but we know that for every subject, the president, while being by being out of office, always request people to do papers for him. You know, where he receives the paper, he reads through it, he has a small committee of people around him that, of course, review the papers and come to a decision on it. And perhaps he had been docketing the outcomes and the conclusions of these papers over time. And we are just seeing the manifestation of the papers, as it were. That's part of preparation. You know, it was really prepared for this. And I think it's a record, which, like, we have to be sincere, it is a record to see an administration start a reform, you know, and under 24 months, we are seeing results. It's not every kind of situation that we have this.
Okay. Mr. Yakub, first of all, I want to thank you. Good morning for holding on. Please go ahead now.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
At least, you give me a sign if you are hearing me, sir. Please. Shijori, good morning again. And then good morning to Mr. Akishiju.
Dr. Ni Akishiju.
Yes, Dr. Ni Akishiju. Yes, I've been following him. He's a man of honor. Even for the election, I followed him very well. Shijori, he said something earlier, and then I think I align with him, and then I believe what he said, that a true politician, if it is a true politician that he was for a second time, he believed that second time is so paramount to him. I believe, Mr. Ayori, the president will not take the step that took in the day inauguration, that the subsidy is gone. Because subsidy that's gone, it hits a lot of Nigerians, including me and you, so hard. Up to though we have, but I should give him kudos, because truly I can testify to that the price of food is coming down, even though it is up to what we are looking for. As it is now, the price of rice now is almost, I think, 60,000 and 65,000 thereabouts. By the time that this policy is continued, I hope to see the price of rice come down at least minimum of 1,000. It is unfortunate. We don't have opposition in this country. Some of us that is facing, and then this government, we are also playing full of opposition. Let me give you a typical example. As far as I'm concerned, this morning, the subsidy gone, but the Mr. President promised that he should convert car and lorries to CNG gas. Only see this CNG converted on trailer, like a Dangote trailer, and then some other Nigerian citizens that converted their home, the car. They are nowhere to buy this car. Akishidu, I think you have the comment of Mr. President. You not get to him. We want him to look into different particular sector, because the gas is very, very cheap. But if Akishidu, the CNG gas, the petroleum to CNG, it is so high, and then it is not even accessible. That is, it is not even. So I'm calling upon the opposition.
Okay.
This country, they should just at the thing. And then speaking for the citizen, in order for them to put incumbent government so that you can to work hard and then still come back and rule this country. But we will continue to play the opposition within the party. Anything that we know that the minister when we will pass it out because we want to succeed.
Okay.
The party should do. We need to pay attention to this. And then the meter that they were removing, they are now replacing it for us, and then they were telling to go and buy meter. It's also looking to those things. So
okay.
Thanks and God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in. Well, Dr. Kishiju, you heard it there. The man is saying that whereas he's, as by his own confession, a loyalist of APC, that doesn't stop him from, occasionally wearing the cap of the opposition, as he put it. But you use the word, I think, courage, or you referred to the president's boldness. I was just remembering that you do need a man of courage to do what he did with, especially taking out the subsidy. In fact, that particular ball was kicked down the road for so long, and it took a President Tinubu to come along and say, this isn't sustainable anymore, and we're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if he had not taken that decision, Nigeria would have been bankrupt by now. Bankrupt to mean that we would have borrowed so much. We will be spending. We are concerned at the time that at the time was that we're spending close to 100% of our revenue on debt service. By now we would have gone above that, and we'll see that we'll still be securing or acquiring more debts, both local debt, domestic debts, and foreign debts, and it will get to a time, of course, that there will be confusion everywhere. Productivity would have gone to its lowest in the country. And we'll have, we'll only then realize what we have found ourselves. But I think it's good that we are saved by this person of vision who saw this and refused to play politics with it. Because the easiest, the convenient approach or alternative would have been to continue to borrow money to fund our, how do I call it, to fund our taste, as it were. And of course, this funding is not sustainable. So now, by changing that paradigm, Nigeria is in a refinery behemoth, because if the price had been subsidized, as it were, the Dangote refinery that we are talking about today wouldn't have been functional. There was no way it could have been functional, because it's the pricing of the petroleum products that determines the functionality of a refinery. So now, because of that removal of subsidy, we have a functional Dangote refinery. We have a functional 60,000 barrels a day Port Harcourt refinery. We have a functional Warri refinery producing about 75% to 75% of its capacity. The Kaduna refinery is being worked upon, knowing that when it starts producing, the products will be sold, at market-determined rates. You also have BUA refinery coming on. You have about 7 other modular refineries, coming on. They are all pivoted on the right pricing mechanism. Now, the turnaround in the economy is becoming apparent that we are not only going to satisfy, the national demand, as it were, but Dangote refinery especially has started creating disruptions across the world. A number of refineries that usually supply Nigeria with products are packing up. They've stopped operation because, of course, there's no demand from Nigeria. And again, Nigeria would have started supplying products to the West African regions, formally, no longer smuggling. So you can actually capture transactions around the oil industry in the West African region.
All of these. Well, thank you for bringing that up. Now, Uche in Nnewi, good morning to you, sir. Uche, can you hear us? Good morning. Uche in Nnewi. Oh, okay. I hear that we managed to lose Uche, who called in from Nnewi. See if you can try again. Maybe I'll just take a break here. Don't go anywhere, please. We'll be right back. We'll continue to take your calls as we discuss our subject for the day, the 13th NEC meeting at the party's national secretariat, where a vote of confidence was passed on Mr. President, and indeed the chairman of the party and some other officials. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. We're still having this conversation with Dr. Nia Kishiju, who is chair of the Independent Media and Policy Initiative, and indeed a very senior analyst of the public space and current affairs. Thanks once again, Dr. Kishiju, for giving us some of your time this morning. Now, the other thing, the other thing is that we can't fail to notice the monumental steps. Forgive me for, let me just say the steps. Let me take out, you people will say, you seniors will say, that's editorializing. Why are you saying monumental steps? A step is a step. You know what I mean? But I'm talking here, I'm talking here about his efforts in the region of local government. What he has done for the local government, which has never been done before. But even as he has done it, we are still struggling with it because it does appear that not everybody is kosher with it. That was just an opinion myself. But everybody can see that getting the funds of local governments directly to them is the way to go. And Mr. President has said, beyond just talking about these matters, let's put it into the law so that you could be breaking the law if you don't follow, if you don't toe the line that local governments are entitled to. That, again, speaks to a man of courage, doesn't it?
A man of courage, vision, and tact. The headache, of local government administration.
Could I interrupt you? Let me interrupt you, Dr. Kinshiju. I'm so sorry for doing so, but I wanted to add this caller, so it's possible that you might be able to combine your response, so I'll give you the time. Good morning, Mr. George, and thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Dr. Kinshiju.
Yeah.
Uncle Yori, I'm not a member of the APC, but I watched the proceedings on video.
Okay.
And as a watcher of political events in Nigeria, I heard people talking about the party not holding meetings here, at the right time. But people should not forget that this man came in with radical changes to our socio-economic policies. And the effects were already raging on the people. We have to address those ones first. Even in the midst of all those ones, his party, I observed that his party performed well in off-season elections. We saw it in Imo, we saw it in Ondo, we saw it in Edo. During such periods, as the leader of the party, the issues pertaining to his party in those states, they were still able to rally around their members, especially what you saw in Edo and Ondo. The disagreements here and there, they were still able to rally around their members and won those elections.
Yeah.
So whether the party were holding regular meetings or not, the effects of governance on the party was not missing. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
We know that Tinubu is not perfect. I have been following him for close to 40 years now, Uncle Yori. That symbol in his cap of a broken chain, he's been wearing that symbol before he became a politician.
Okay.
That symbol is a spiritual symbol. Nigeria is in socio-economic chains, and he has come to break those chains.
Okay.
You can see the attitude with which he's going about his policy.
Indeed.
He's sure about it. Although criticisms are here and there, but at the end of the day, we see him bringing results. That's the kind of president I want.
Indeed. Well,
I want him to continue, irrespective of who's off with God. We are watching. I'm not a praise singer, but you can see that things went up. Things became very bad, but he was sure what he's doing. Okay. And things have now started to cascade down.
Okay.
I believe in the next 1.5 years again, the same people that were condemning him, who were running away, will come back and they will have reasons to praise him. And it's not that type that gets carried away with praises. He has the focus and he's specific focus. I'm proud of him as a Nigerian.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Dr. Akishiju, a topic, funny, the gentleman there spoke about the president's signature cap. He's the president's signature gobi, and has actually put a meaning to that symbol that looks like people everywhere. Tinubu doesn't appear without that signature cap. And everybody has given their own 2 cents as to what indeed it means, ranging from a senator to an eternity loop. Only God knows what it means. But Mr. George gave us his impressions there.
Well, so I think that the symbol can be likened to the sound of the Iyalu. When you beat it,
yes,
the more the people that hears it, the more, of course, the interpretation would be.
Indeed.
So, but I think on an ideological level, I want to adopt his position. Being ideologically oriented myself, if we have a situation of a fettered socio-economic situation, and the symbol is to break that chain, of course we will adopt it, because it also offers a form of explanation, you know. And I mean, talking about that, it's the issue we're talking about, the constraints built around local government administration was also a kind of fetter. You know, it was a tying down of perhaps the most important, tier of government in Nigeria. Some people that said, no, it is not constitutional, it's not what obtains in other jurisdiction, the local government should not be conceptualized, should not be the responsibility of the state. A number of discussions and arguments. But I say the drafters of our constitutions saw the need for a tier of government that is nearest the people. And that because of that, there was a need to have that government that people can interact with. I am a major advocate of local government administration, because in my growing up years, the first time I saw my road tarred was because the local government tarred my road in my area, And fortunately, some of us had the good fortune of going to school and, of course, going to other space or other states, as it were. But the truth of the matter is that on a particular street, in a particular location in any state, there are thousands of people that don't know any other place beyond 200 square meters, of their existence. The secondary school, the primary school, health, and all that are within those 200 square kilometers. And that, it's square meters, not kilometers, square meters. And that area defines their existence from birth to death. So the concern for them is, how good is my road? How good is the primary school I am taking my children to? How good is the secondary school I'm taking my children to? Can I, of course, access health in the local community health centers? That defines their life. So you need an administration, a tier of government that is nearer them to offer this effectively and efficiently. Because there's no way a state capital is further from so many villages, so many roads, so many streets, even in urban centers. So you need government to come nearer, and it's only local government that comes nearer. But you now also have a system where governors had become addicted, to the flow of cash, that's supposed to go to the local government, and had simply refused to let go. That's the unfortunate thing. But we give the credit to Mr. President for the tax and, of course, for the strategic initiative.
I was going to come there. I was going to come to this tax issue, which, as you know, Mr. President is bent on reforming. They're all archaic. But before then, Oseni has been waiting to join the program in Jos. Good morning, and thank you for holding on, Mr. Oseni.
To the person analyzing there. Uncle Yeri, you see the problem is this. The truth is that for us to move ahead, this administration appreciates both steps, working towards seeing that local government get an autonomy. But if you need to work, if you need to have any tangible and responsible achievement, definitely we need to give local government a full autonomy. In fact, full autonomy in the sense that the financial autonomy is one, the electoral body from local government, the officers, the executive officers of the local government, most especially, should be detached from the state completely. If you allow me, I will say let INEC have the sole responsibility of taking the sole election of the local government. So that governors, I am telling you, as I'm talking to you, they are the one manipulating every development in the local government, down to local government, for goodness sake. 36 people in a country. All the money, by every month, end of the month, you see the trillion that this administration is sharing, both in state and local government. But I'm telling you, there are local governments that cannot construct at 5 million naira at culvert, just culvert. Just like your guest is talking about, they go to the local government health center and see, virtually empty. The staff are not even there. The place is even empty. Oh, most of them in most of the states. You cannot go in there as a patient. Why? Because all those monies will come. Somebody will hijack the money in the state, apart from the security vote that are coming, apart from even the state, the resources that are being shared. Talk more of palliative. If you give palliative now to reach even the downtrodden in the local government, mostly it are people in the grassroots that are very poor. If you give palliative now, let's say we give about 30,000 trucks and give it to a particular state, let's say 10 stores. Share it to local government 1-1. I'm telling you, those palliative will end up there in the state. At the end of it, they will change and brand it to a different thing. So local government issues should be taken seriously if we want to go on. Then the second thing is the issue of NNPC. Up to now, let me tell you the truth. Nigerians are not satisfied with what is going on in NNPC. If there is any place that is giving Nigerians headache, that Nigerians do not know, yes, there is PIA. But the transaction there, the fake as if it's the same thing. Thank God for Dangote that has come. Dangote has come is a godsend for that refinery to come at this particular time, that the policy is in place and really is helping Nigerians in one way or the other. But the number of petroleum being imported, the number of import and everything that is going from Malta and any other places is a thing that Nigerians we don't understand. Tomorrow,
okay, Mr. Oseni,
National Assembly, they are investigating some missing money, and another one is next.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you very much for calling in. And I assure you that I got the import of what you are saying, as did Dr. Akishiju. He will now comment. So over to you, Dr. Akishiju.
Well, I of course, align myself with the concerns of the caller, as it were, especially as it relates to local government administration. We share the same sentiments. I do wish, that the governors would be born again, and understand the importance, of the local government. The strategic move by the president was to depart from the old ways of enforcement of constitutional provision and took the matter to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled. By the Supreme Court ruling, we have a legal precedent. And the legal precedent is near a constitutional reference. So, and the constitutional reference is that let the money go directly to local governments. Yet, we still have so many governors trying to truncate that, which is unfair. So we'll continue to appeal to them. And we'll also continue to appeal to civil society organizations to let go their focus on the federal government, on Abuja, and of course democratize their advocacy, around Nigeria, on state government. And where you also have a situation where local government has become functional, they also bring the local government into focus. Because democracy is about, of course, eternal vigilance, as they say. You must have people who are ready, to investigate, to talk about issues and activities around a particular tier of government in a way that occupiers of those government levels will know that people are watching. So we need more civil society organizations on the state, at the local government. And one other thing is this: beyond the joint account abuse, as it were, most states had actually, taking away the responsibilities of the local government, especially in the area of property tax, for instance. It is constitutional responsibility of local government to collect tenement rates, hoarding, billboards, and all that are within the confines of the local government. These are places they are supposed to raise revenue, but the states had already emasculated them in that regard. And you can continue to count all that. So we can only beg the state government, to be more patriotic and understand the need of course, of the common man. The common man, as we say, I am a common man. I live first in a street in the ward in the local government, a local government in the state. So I am first an indigene of a ward in a local government. And if I cannot get the impactful delivery of government services by local government, I would not even feel what the state government is doing or what the federal government is doing. So it is important we make the local government work.
Indeed. And, it's like everybody has to be on board. The president needs to remind the governors that what you are receiving now, did he say, what was the multiple? Did he say it was something like 4 times as much as what they were receiving before?
4 times. Yes.
4 times as much as they were receiving before. And have we seen 4 times the activity, the development from these governors? I guess that's what the president was saying, that the governors need to, they're doing a great job, no doubt. Far be it for the president to criticize anybody. But he was making the point that, and I think you sort of related obliquely to it, that, look, whatever is going on here, people should stop looking towards the center. Much has been done for the states, and it remains for the governors themselves to come across, having been so enabled, and not, how does one put it, not be too greedy on this matter. But can no more be done in terms of enforcing the rule, the law, that this is not money you have the freedom to appropriate. This is money for the people that is channeled through the governors. And so any governor who doesn't play along in the right way is liable to be guilty of an illegality. Is it that we're taking it softly? I mean, because a law is a law, and you must abide by the law.
True. But again, politicians being what they are, I also play politics, so I am not ostracizing, I am not alienating myself from that space. But the truth of the matter is that the average politicians have a way of seeing loopholes and exploiting loopholes. Just like the last caller noted, elections into local government,
yes,
is controlled by states. And you hardly see any states, after conducting their election, where you even have an opposition win two councillorship seats. Not talk of
it hardly happens.
Government chairman.
It hardly happens.
So it's always 100%.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you. I beg your pardon. Sorry to interrupt you once more, because right now we're talking about democracy and all of that. I'm being something of a Democrat now. I mean, of a despot now, and it's because of time. Time is a despot. Reverend Dominic, I do want to bring you on, but Reverend Dominic, please take a minute so that Dr. Akishiju can respond, and we'll close after that. Reverend Dominic? Reverend Dominic? Okay. I really wanted to fit you in, but unfortunately there's a technical matter. So
okay, so I can hear you.
Oh, okay, please go ahead. Yes, go ahead, but take just a minute, please. Take just a minute. Did you hear that part? Take just a minute, please.
Okay. Your please, what I was asking is that Mr. President has done well. Mr. President has done well. He has done well to open the books of CBN, and we have seen the reform in CBN. Can Mr. President allow us to see the books of NNPC? I've clamored here personally, and other people, for the chairman of NNPC to go, but it seems that's impossible. Can Mr. President open the book of NNPC? If we open the book of NNPC, we know whether they're doing good or they're doing bad. Because the pulse of the economic power of this nation is on NNPC. Can we see that book? For about 15 to 20 years, nobody has opened that book. He's an accountant. He's sort of accountable character. That a man do business for 20 years, you can't look at his book whether he's doing right or wrong. Can we open the book?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Akishiju, as I said, we're really rushed for time now. How would you respond to Reverend Dominic wants even more transparency?
Well, I don't like generalizing because I also know that there has been a lot of efforts to clean up the operations of the NNPC, as it were. Reverend Dominic should remember now that we have different regulatory agencies running that industry. We have the upstream commission, and we have the downstream and the midstream and the downstream agency. So, to a large extent, the NNPC itself has become an independent entity, a private company. So, the responsibility for the management and oversight of the industry now are with these commissions, that are also guided by the PIA. So, I know for certain that the president was concerned with the books of the NNPC, had seen it, had reviewed it, and of course, very soon, perhaps we would have a throwback on it. Not as it is now, because the NNPC had been coming to the public space with the outcome of their performances. We see financial results, of NNPC for 2023 or 2022 or thereabout. So it's no longer the NNPC of old.
Well, we're gonna have to leave it there, Dr. Akishiju. I mean, it always happens whenever you come on. It looks like I need another hour or so, to sort of bring out from you the benefit of your analysis. But I want to thank you very much, Dr. Nia Akishiju, Chairman of the Independent Media and Policy Initiative. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having me, sir.
All right, then. So we're going to have to leave it there. That's our program. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Fola.